Encouraging and enabling apprentices to consider what they have achieved and what is still to be done is important. It is also important to help apprentices reflect on their work, to think about how they can improve it, and to respond positively to feedback. At Fashion Enter, Jo Price explains that this is part of the apprentices' work as they progress through the apprenticeship.
So we have a progress review every 10 weeks, so every learner has to have a progress review. We have a one-to-one discussion. We look at the actions that were set in the last progress review and we review whether they've actually been done, and then we set new ones. Now this progress review gets sent to the learner and the employer. The employer will write a comment about how they're doing that, and the learner will write a general comment about the actions, how they think they're doing.
Digital tools can help to facilitate reflective practice. In this example, Zoe Hills at Basingstoke College of Technology suggests that videoing presentations can bring a new dimension to reflective practice.
For example, if someone's filmed themselves doing a presentation, part of our assessments should be that reflection on what they've learned from doing that presentation. What went well, what could go better, what would I do different next time? If you write about that, you will remember what you've said. You may remember the questions that people have asked you, but you won't know, how did you look to the audience? How did you behave? How did you move? What was your breathing like? You know, were you constantly touching your hair, or were you looking at the audience or the monitor? So you can actually give yourself really constructive sort of reflection and feedback, and really learn from watching something back. You see the whole picture rather than just remembering the words that were maybe said.
Salford City College carries out observations of their apprentices as they progress through the standards. They record these sessions so that the apprentice can evaluate their performance.
Small like table stands for an iPhone, where we can place that, you know, within, just out of view of ourselves, but record the actual process of the observation. My mind is obviously watching the apprenticeship and observing the apprentices is focusing on the job they're doing, and the camera does the job in the background without, you know, people thinking about it. So they would get a copy of that particular recording. They would get a write-up and a reflection of, you know, of the observation. You know, how I feel the observation's gone, areas for improvement if there are any.
Using digital technology for this means that firstly, it can be done much more flexibly, for example, on the commute home, but secondly, capturing it using digital tools allows these reflections to be stored in the portfolio.
Well, sometimes it's difficult for them to find time in the workplace, but most people today commute at least an hour to and an hour from work, so that can be a time obviously on the drive home, particularly if you're stuck in traffic, that you can be reflecting on that day, and then maybe when you get home, then you can type that up or write it up, and then that can be uploaded to something like Learning Assistant, where, as well as the benefits of the reflective process, they're also getting the benefit of collating some information towards the portfolio.
These journal entries, stored in the apprentice's portfolio, can then be used to provide evidence, but also to refer back to and use in future situations. Georgia, an apprentice at Great Ormond Street Hospital, describes the benefits of recording reflections.
So I have to have a portfolio at the end of mine to give to the assessor. So it's good to be able to go back and reassess what you've done to see if anything needs tweaking or amending, to refresh your memory. And also I've got those resources in my work environment. If I have a situation that's relative to what I've learned, I can use those resources to help me in my everyday life.